All right. Hello, hello, hello. Just do a quick check, make sure that everything is working. So excited to be on live with you all this evening. Okay. So I see that everything seems to be showing up nice and smoothly on YouTube. And that is good. Stay hydrated, y'all. You're catching me after my low impact ride for the day. So not the hardest for many people. Hi, Cyan. Maybe not the hardest for everybody who's going to be on here, but for me, absolutely a big deal, especially since I am just now reincorporating exercise back into my routine. So I am very much so feeling good, but I am also very much so feeling like sleep is going to have been well earned tonight. So how y'all doing? Zion, how you doing? I don't know if texting back in the chat is going to be easy for you or not, but if you're... Hi, Vaughn. Hello. I'm so excited. There are two human beings where last time that I was on, there was only one. Joy. Oh, yay. Prep to chat. I love that. Okay, so my camera is currently being dragged off of this for some reason. So hopefully I can stop that from happening. Because it happened a bunch last time too. And I'm not sure why it happened then. I'm just going to close everything that could possibly try to use my camera. And hopefully we'll be in good business. Because we don't want that happening. Not before we get to talk. So hopefully everything is still audible and folks can still see me. Yes. Okay. Lit. How's your week been? Are you feeling energized? Are you feeling alive? Are you here and that's enough? I'm here for all of the above. Oh, yay. The audio is good. All right. Oh, that's beautiful. So we definitely are going to be live streaming with purpose today. I'm not going to keep everyone too long, but I thought we would do something fun, something interactive, something engaging. So today I'm going to read some Reddit stories. Yeah. I love the feeling alive. I love the holiday spirit. I know you may or may not have been traveling. TBD. Don't feel like you have to tell the internet, but so no matter where you are in the world, know that you are loved and held, and that I hope that you're enjoying the vibes of the holidays. And I hope the holiday vibes are treating you beautifully and well because you deserve it. So yeah, today we're going to be streaming with purpose. I've got some Reddit stories to read and hopefully offer some words of encouragement and consideration and love. We're going to do a little screen sharing so that we can all see the stories together. So hopefully this will come up nice and big. Let's see what it looks like. Okay. Not the worst, not the best. Let's see. I think there's like a zoom button. We'll find it one day. I still have to learn. But hopefully it's large enough that people can see. And I'm going to be reading them out loud anywho. Okay. So these stories today are going to come from r/Momma, r/parenting, and r/single parents to start. So let's go with r/single parents. Let's go to r/Momma. We'll start there. Okay, so let's see what we've got here. Oh no, nothing for mom under the tree. This one comes from LXLXWX, if I'm reading that right. All right. So this user says, my husband just told me not to expect anything for Christmas. He says my gift is running late, quote unquote. But he said that before, and nothing ever comes. My kids will always make something sweet at school, and I'm grateful for that, of course. But after everything I've poured into the holidays for my family, is it wrong to feel a bit shafted? Uh, Let me think about that for a second. No. Yeah, I didn't even need a whole second to think about that one. So from one mama to another, here's what I'm feeling. Okay. Um, I'm feeling the beginnings of resentment being built up here. I'm feeling the beginnings of the married single mom effect coming up here. I'm feeling the you are the Christmas magic vibe coming up here. And honestly, you don't deserve that. Nobody does, right? The moment that we feel we've been taken for granted is the moment that we stop really feeling like what we do matters, like what we do is valuable to the people who we love the most. And that doesn't serve anyone. Honestly, it's the freaking worst. So, is it wrong to feel shafted? It's never wrong to feel anything. So, since all feelings are welcome, it's just an automatic no, it's not wrong. But would it even be wrong to say that you feel shafted to your husband? Also, no. I think that you have the right to not only acknowledge your feelings, to not only share your feelings, but to do so in a way that leaves room for your husband to make a commitment to being more of an active participant in the holiday season and in this period, or for you to then be able to say, okay, since I'm feeling this resentment boiling up, here are the ways in which I'm going to step back moving forward for the holidays. Because you can't make someone else do what you do. You can't make someone else hold you up the way that you hold them up. But what you can do is give yourself a little slack. So if you're noticing that the connection between you two, the line between you two is just not working, that's okay. You do not have to like be the glue that holds together your relationship. And honestly, it sounds like you are being exactly that. And there's nothing wrong with taking, a bit of a break from the emotional toll that is clearly taking on you, and just, you know, finding a space where you do feel appreciated, even if that space is within yourself to begin. But then intentionally creating the conditions for you to have, those really good, healthy friendship connections that can allow you to feel gifted each holiday season as well. Because it's not about, I'm not getting the vibe that it's about stuff for you. I'm getting the vibe that it's really about, feeling seen, feeling understood, and feeling connected to. And good friends can do that in ways that will remind you deserve better in your marriage, and give you the words to say what it is that you want in your marriage, especially if you're struggling to find them, or if maybe your husband's a little bit resistant to accountability. I don't want to put words in your mouth, his mouth, or anything, but if that's happening, well, then that's something else that you can consider. But the biggest thing that I want to say is that you control you in this situation and in all situations. So if something is not working for you, even if you're in a lifelong committed relationship and you have no intentions of ever leaving it, good for you, by the way, then manage yourself in a way such that you don't build up resentment in yourself, so that you don't build up a feeling of being owed, because that is a corrosive emotion that only eats you up inside. Other people take it as an example of you kind of engaging in poor faith in your family, which is wrong and not fair and definitely sexist, and just works against you doubly. So with that, I hope that some of what I said is helpful, but also understand that like absolutely nothing that you ask for is unreasonable. And even if somebody else feels it's unreasonable, in this case, because it's about how you're feeling in your own skin and in your own family unit and system, don't ask other people and expect them to know what it should feel like. And honestly, no one else could possibly know what it should feel like. That's for you and you alone to determine. Now, as far as what you should do, that also is something that is going to, take into account your goals, what matters the most to you, how tied to this relationship you are, and how deep, the burden is rooted in your relationship. But from there, it's all you, honey. So I would like to say that you are doing an amazing job this holiday season, Mama. I hope that you feel that way deep down, even if you're not feeling as appreciated as you should. Please know that this stranger on the internet sends you all of her love and appreciation. And we are going to go to the next story. So that was a fun one. Let's see what else we got here. There was a story earlier that I thought was just so powerful. I may have emailed it to myself so that I wouldn't lose it. Let's see. I might have to do it tomorrow, but there was a really good one about how 6 months of age difference was really affecting one of the mamas who was posting. And if I can find it, I would really love to share it with you all. This one's tagged Christmas. Let's read it. How do some people make it look so easy? This one's tagged Christmas. And it is for user Sacred Caramel 9335. My daughter is 9 months old, and I am so excited for her first Christmas. Merry Christmas, little one. Happy first Christmas. Or am I? Okay. I feel like I have been scrambling all month long between my partner and I trying to clean up our train wreck of a house, decorate even a little bit inside, and take our baby to events or Santa pictures. It doesn't help that suddenly our daughter desperately needs to be held anytime we try to do anything productive. Turn on the water for doing dishes, cry. Get out the broom, cry. Try and fold laundry, cry. Sit on the playmat with her while she does her own thing, world peace. This isn't even accounting for the fact that she still only contact naps. So cut 2.5 hours out of the day right there. How do some people make it look so easy? Like they manage to have the inside and outside of the house decorated with small children, no less. And they don't seem like they're ready to blow their brains out stressed. What am I doing wrong? Yes. So my first inclination is to say you're doing nothing wrong. But since that's too easy, here's what you're definitely doing wrong. So, Sacred Caramel 9335, what you are doing tragically, horrendously wrong, is you are being entirely too hard on yourself and writing in the blanks of somebody else's story. That's what you're doing terribly wrong. So what do I mean by that? Well, here are some like little things that are in your story that hopefully will give you a deep enough pocket in your lungs to take a breath. Okay. So the first one is we don't know what systems of support other people have to get something done. And we don't know how smoothly that process is moving for them to achieve whatever goal it is that they have. So, for example, there might be some people who have immaculate interior and they've designed all of their lights and trees and garlands and everything inside, and then there's this winter wonderland outside and it looks magical and majestic and glorious, right? Yay. But what we don't know is what it took to get that picture to look that way. And there's this song lyric from a beautiful singer-songwriter named Jonathan McReynolds, who says, you know, comparison kills. So the idea is that, you know, we shouldn't chase what we think we understand just because we like that finished product. Because at the end of the day, we may think that that finished product is better than ours. We may think that the grass is greener on the other side, but really somebody could have had to, you know, go all the way to the edge of their sanity, maybe even cross the edge of their sanity to get the grass that green. Or they could be walking around with spray paint cans, you know, making everything look so much nicer on the outside, just so that we all kind of feel like, oh, look at this. And it's all a facade. It's just the top. It's just scratching the surface. We don't know about the health of the families that are able to do that. And let's be so clear. And I'm so glad that Zion and Vaughn are on here, because let's talk about capitalism for a second. If you have the money and you have the means, anything is possible. Even if you don't spend any time with your family, don't contact nap with your baby, and outsource the entirety of what it takes to bond with your family to someone else so that you can look nice to other people. But think about what that costs, and it's not just dollars and cents. And I'm not saying so appreciate the contact naps. No, no, no. What I'm saying is maybe there's room for envy, because it sucks to not have as much at your fingertips as you'd like to get something done. I know a heck of a lot about that. I am currently working towards getting my daughter into school, and paying for that as a single working mother who needs to get another job so that I can work another job to put my child into childcare so that my other job won't complain to me about my child at home, even though I am just doing the absolute minimum with her, and feel guilty about that, is a nightmare. And so when I hear your story and I think about what you're going through, all I can think is it's okay to have a little bit of envy and say, I wish, right? That's okay. And that's why I really wanted to say that there's absolutely nothing that you're doing wrong, right? Those contact naps, that exhaustion, the space to cry, the world peace experience of sitting on the mat with mama, sitting on the mat with daddy, that is so precious to that child. They've only been alive for 9 months. So every minute counts as far as what good things you pour into them. You are exponentially making their lives richer, fuller, and more beautiful with each little gesture that you give to them. And they're not going to remember that they didn't sit on Santa's lap. And they're certainly not going to remember the nights where they were crying, because they're going to remember that you came to them. You turned off the water, that you came to them. You stopped sweeping, that you came to them. You sat on the mat while they did their thing, that you gave them the focused attention. And what a gift that is. Something that a lot of parents, because we're so caught up in convenience culture, we're so caught up in this capitalistic programming, that we're afraid to take some time to just love our babies wherever they happen to be in a given moment, whatever we happen to be doing. And let me be clear, my daughter is in the next room, and there's like a really solid chance that she's about to wake up and walk right over here and demand that I breastfeed her while I'm live. And I'm going to take care of her, and I'm going to keep hanging out with you all. Both of those things are happening. And the beauty of it is we get to make those decisions, even in those moments where we feel that pressure. So I sincerely hope that this Christmas season, this Christmas day that's coming tomorrow, that you feel like you're enough, like your parenting is enough, like the little things that you've chosen to do are enough. You absolutely deserve to feel that way. And if you can't find it in yourself to give yourself that gift, please listen to this audio because it's for you. Sending you so much love, Mama. You're doing a great job. Sending you and your partner so much love. Sending your little one so much love. Happy first Christmas, little one. You're doing great. And your neighbors, maybe they're having a great time, but I don't think anyone is experiencing this thing as easy. And even if they are, fuck capitalism. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. Screw capitalism. And, sincerely bless you for all that you're doing, because you're doing a great job. All right. So heading over to the comments, we have, how do you balance the currencies of time, energy, money, and community support? What has worked for you? That is a great question, Zion. Thank you for asking. I think one of the huge things that I have learned in this process is that I live outside of the concept of currency so I can stay sane. And the times where society kind of pulls me into a place where I feel like there's things that are competing for my quote unquote limited resources, I reflect on that and say, how can I get out of this capitalistic mindset? Because yes, there's capitalism of like the big C economy capitalism, but there are also like these micro capitalisms where we say, well, I can't get the car because I can't get the degree, because I can't get the job, because I can't get the time, because I don't have the self-love, because it all costs too much. And so I'm going to live in this basement and wait to die. And like, yes, it's like hella extreme, but I'm doing it on purpose, right? Because for me, it actually was, well, I need a car because I'm about to have a baby and they don't let you leave the car. They don't let you leave the hospital without a car seat in a car that you have to take the baby home in. I didn't have a car. I didn't have an apartment. I was fortunate enough to, yes, have a job. But that job was paying me like not as much throughout the time of postpartum, because I like basically had a set amount of time that was fully paid and then a set amount of time that was partially paid for my maternity leave. So not only was I working with fewer resources than normal, but I was also healing from giving birth. So my job only pays for the amount of time that it takes literally for the stitches to like maybe start to stop burning when I go to the bathroom, right? We're not talking about like a very long amount of time to get used to the sleep deprivation, in my case, homelessness, and like the schedule changes that go along with all of those pieces. Because I was house hunting, I had already gotten my car, and the car seat, and like people kind of rallied around me to make sure that I had the necessities, her clothes, some socks, people had furniture on deck for when I did find a place that would be specific furniture for her, and some other items like that. But I learned so quickly that it's all or nothing in a spiritual sense. So I had to make a decision that I was going to have enough time, and that if I gave myself enough time, I would have enough energy, I would have enough money, I would have enough community support, and I think the one thing that I struggled the most with was community support, and still is community support. It's part of why I'm doing this YouTube channel, I guess, is like you try to solve the problem that you have, right? Um, there are so many topics about the postpartum journey that it's just taboo to discuss, or, you know, it's hard to find the right group of people where you can do that comfortably. And so, you know, oftentimes we just don't do it. And so we have these like boards like Reddit and these spaces like YouTube where people come together and they talk about it. So I'm using every ounce of time that I have. I am deciding to find a way to multiply my energy. I'm a breastfeeding mom, and I'm just reincorporating exercise into my routine, which means I'm a little bit more tired and wired at the same time. So the stress is actually increased over the last couple of weeks since starting YouTube. And I'm still working full time. You know, I'm starting at this strategic moment where the holiday seasons give me a little bit of time to pre-record and really hit the ground running so I can have a manageable schedule. But I'm sacrificing, I guess, you know, the lights on the outside of the house, or, you know, the apartment being spotless, because I don't care about it. And I know I don't care about it. And the only reason I might care about it is if I thought about how someone else could care about it. So I get out of that capitalistic space and I get into a spiritual place. And when I say spiritual, yes, I'm Christian, but I don't mean to push that on anyone else. For me, it happens to be Jesus, but it could be anything, including nobody out there. I worked a lot with, like, I guess, non-religious philosophies as well. And the bottom line for me is, am I giving myself the space to create the environment that I need to thrive, and where I can parent from with ease and with comfort and peace and have a durable sense of well-being? If I can give myself that, there's no such thing as not enough energy. If I can give myself that, there's no such thing as not enough time. And if I really am giving myself that, then I'm solving somebody's problem, which means money will follow. Um, and if I'm truly doing that, community support will chase me. I just have to be there and be, you know, true to what it is I'm being called to do. Called by who? In my case, I believe called by from a spiritual standpoint, but called nonetheless. We can call it our gut. We can call it our heart. You can call it your intellect. It doesn't matter. So thank you so much for that question, Zion. I think that is like a really powerful question, and hopefully my answer lived up to the question itself. Thank you for it. All right, so let's go to our next question, but please do keep the questions coming. Okay, user slash spicy okie. I really want to read this one. This one looks hilarious, so I'm very in. All right. I gave away a free stroller that I stole. Again, this one comes from user slash spicy okie. There is a Goodwill donation center literally right next to my daughter's daycare. People like to leave boxes, bags at the door before it opens. I rent a large layout house with tile. It gets very cold. I saw 2 heaters and decided to grab them, as we could really use them, and this is before they opened. Then I realized there was a stroller with bags on top of it. I grabbed the stroller, loaded it into my car, and I was doing my virtual school cosmetology. So putting lightener on a mannequin. I'm assuming this is like hair related. Good for you. I posted it for free in my local needy moms chat. I was able to drop it off on my lunch period. Her baby is 3 months old and she still didn't have a stroller. It felt good, even though I did something quote unquote bad. God, I love stealing. LOL. um, I like that there wasn't a question at all in that story because although, you know, without sinking into the space of moral relativism, I think he didn't do anything too wrong. I mean, if it was in a donation pile for people who need things and you were a person who needed something and it caught your eye and then you were able to bless someone with it, it feels very apropos of the Christmas season, right? Um, because oftentimes the gifts that we give to one another are things we don't even think we have to give, right? Things that people need, but we have absolutely no idea we're even giving to them. And so I think it is just beautiful that you went in with a spirit of almost Robin Hood, right? Where you recognize that like you needed something, there were people who need something, you could fill that need. You did actively target and make sure that somebody who really needed it got the stroller. So I mean, God bless us everyone. And I hope that everyone had a good time thanks to your gift giving, even though you didn't buy the gift. It was the heart that you put into it that's really, I don't know, touching to me. Oh, mama. Okay. This one comes from Suddenly Ginger Snaps. 6:30 a.m. and already crying on Christmas Eve. I know this may sound still silly or stupid to be so upset, but I woke up at midnight feeling ill and just knew I had a stomach bug. At about 5:30, I woke up and was extremely ill, vomit and diarrhea. Oh. The thought of food disgusts me, and we have a huge feast planned for the next 2 days. Oh. This is the third year I have been sick for the holidays. We aren't religious. This time of year isn't a huge spiritual or emotional thing, but I've been working so hard to clean and prep and decorate and make the magic, as moms do. And I just want to freaking enjoy it, not be sick and drained. I'm so sad and disappointed, and the kids aren't even awake yet. Oh, mama, mama, mama. I am so sorry that after all the work you've done and all the heart that you poured into this holiday season, all the gifts I'm sure you sat up wrapping, all the food that you've prepared so that you can, whip it up real quick in a few hours over the next 2 days and just sit and enjoy that after all of that effort, you woke up not feeling well. Sucks. It's so crappy. And I'm so sorry that you're feeling sick. It is, to say the absolute least, highly inconvenient because while you're being called to rest in this space of literally being sick, it's not the kind of rest that you were looking forward to. And if you're a working mom, what a waste of a holiday break, right? Like you're off anyway tomorrow. So it absolutely blows that you are sick on a day off. That's a free day off for many people. So I'm just over here feeling the feels with you. I'm going to hydrate because that is upsetting. I think there's an interesting theme that I'm not at all surprised by in these posts, which is the moms feel so much pressure to make everything this perfect, sparkly fairy dust thing that has absolutely nothing to do with anyone's actual well-being and everything to do with this sense, right, of magic that enhances people's experience Do not get me wrong. It is nice to feel like it's Christmas, right? Um, and to see the reds and the lights and the trees and smell the cedars and smell the pines and, know that there's all these dishes that are going to be coming out and dessert galore and powdered sugar and little sandies and whatever else your families may make during the holidays. And yet, we also work ourselves to the bone, run ourselves ragged, and wind up sick. Now, something that really caught my eye was this wasn't the first year that this happened. Earlier, this mama says that she woke up sick for the third year in a row. And what I'm thinking as I'm reading that is, please stop doing this to yourself. Like, for the love of God, or for the love of you, right? Who needs to even bring God into this? For the love of you, please, please, please stop. Like, do not make yourself sick over a holiday that does not feed your spirit beyond the level that it feeds your spirit. Enlist somebody so that you don't carry the team for a month, for 2 months. A lot of people just start with Halloween and just never stop until after New Year's, and then pray their partner takes up the burden of Valentine's Day, where they're, struggling to show you they love you and resenting the fact that you want them to do a holiday because it's commercialized, and who needs that? I'm sorry, I'm a mess, but I'm not a mess because I meant it. At a certain point, we are responsible, actually, from the very beginning. If you're talking about like my genuine life philosophy, from the outset, we as human beings are responsible for ourselves. Once we are independent and out here in the world, we're responsible for ourselves, how we show up, what we choose to do, and how we choose to engage. And we're not responsible for feeling pressure. We're not duty bound to respond to that pressure. We're not duty bound to say, yes, okay, I see that you care about Christmas, don't want to do any work, so therefore I will do Christmas. These kids love Christmas. Let's give them a magical Christmas. And maybe part of making it magical and lowering the bar for what we have to do as, especially moms, but as default parents, whomever you happen to be, whatever your gender happens to be, because default parents span the gamut, right? But as default parents, and in this postpartum space, we do too much. And then we hope somebody else is going to come in and say, oh my God, wow, you did all this stuff. And they never do. Because they don't see it, because it looks like magic, because you did it like magic. So maybe part of the process is asking, what's one thing that will make this holiday magical for you, of each of your family members? And then getting each of those family members who are going to be involved in making the magic for the other person, for one other person in the family. So maybe dad makes it magical for, your first child, and maybe you make it magical for your second child, and maybe alternate children. Maybe the children make it magical for each other. Maybe you give the siblings a duty. But whatever you do, let's just not do it a fourth year in a row. Because I feel like at a certain point, when we are overextending ourselves and then being resentful of our bodies for not being able to be broken into multiple pieces and stay together, like we're doing something that's harmful to ourselves, and we are able to stop that. We're able to say, you know what, this isn't somebody else. I can do something about this one. So I just want to offer you that. And it's in no way a blaming thing. It's actually me saying like, girl, take a seat. Next year, boycott. And to not kill the magic, let other people be a part of the magic making from the beginning. Give yourself extra time. Make it a fun little scavenger hunt of the magic of Christmas, and let other people be, you know, delegates on behalf of the holiday magic. We don't have to carry it all. So that's my love from one mama to another, and I hope that it is helpful and positive and useful to you. You deserve that plus more. And let's move on to the next story, unless there are other questions in the chat. Let's see. Okie dokie. So we don't have any new questions. We'll read. Let's see. We'll read a couple more. We've been on since 5:30, so maybe we'll give ourselves an hour. Ooh, let's see. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. Audre Lorde, come through. What a quote. Thank you so much for sharing that, Zion. Such a good quote. I feel like I should ask you what's on your mind, because I feel like you always have like the pithy thing. So I'm going to ask you that, and I'm going to look and see if there's another story here. Yes. The nap ministry comes to mind immediately. Such a good channel on Instagram to check out. They're radical resters over there, and some of us truly need it. And it absolutely, yes, ties to the push of capitalism and misogyny. So thank you so much for sharing not only the quote, but then also your thoughts. I just knew I needed to ask you what you were thinking. And like never disappoints. Okay. So we have the story I had initially wanted to kind of kick us off with now. And it goes, is 6 months really a difference? This one comes from user less_mud_7498. And she says, my son is 2 years old, born in August. My boyfriend has a nephew, Jay, the same age. He's 2, born in February. So not the same age, just as a quick heads up. When we're talking about toddlers, 6 months is significant. We'll get there, but bear that in mind. Often I feel discouraged because Jay is more advanced than my son. He can speak in clear, full sentences mostly. If you ask him to get for you, he will. He asks questions and other things. You get it. He does have 4 other siblings, 6, 8, and 10. I know that plays a huge part in it because he has other children to play and learn with on a daily. My son only has me. I often get discouraged because my son, I don't want to say I can't, but he hasn't communicated like that to me yet. And it does hurt me. I think about him being autistic like crazy, and it scares me and also makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. If something is wrong or he's hurt, he can't tell me. If he wanted something, he can't tell me, but he'll point to it already. And he has said, it's poop. That Oh wait, sorry, I skipped a line. Hold on. So, dyslexia. It hurt me to think of him being autistic. It scares me. If he had something to say, I wouldn't be able to say anything to him. He points. He can point to it and hand it to me, or say, or stand. Let's see. What does it say? Or if he happens to see an item he wants, if he wants some water, he'll say water. And if he has to poop, he'll say already, it's poop, meaning I gotta poop, which is kind of adorable. But that's it. Although I'm more than happy he can communicate, that I feel like he should be farther. Okay. He talks, babbles a lot. Hello. Hello, Peanut. Okay. So he talks and babbles a lot all day. So I'd like to think he's getting to that stage. But I just feel like it's crappy 1 to 10, alphabet, colors, some animals, and other things. I taught him to ask, what is this? Or what's that sound? When he hears something or he doesn't know what something is. But if I put his favorite movies or shows on, he's able to recite some lines clear and perfect. And it always amazes me because LOL, why won't you do that with me? Y'all, I'm overthinking. I need some reassurance to know I'm doing this right. Comparison is the thief of joy. Well, Mama, I think you said it all in your comment. So what do I even have to offer? Right? Comparison is the thief of joy. To go back to the beginning, comparison truly kills, right? We will rob ourselves of all of the good things that we're seeing in our world around us if we start to expand that world and compare it to someone else's without knowing all of the factors. So let's break down some of the things that are in this video, or in this, this post here on Reddit, because I feel like they're very important to understanding what's happening here between the two-year-olds. So first and foremost, when we're thinking about toddler development and infant development, 6 months is a very big deal. A lot happens in 6 months. And when you're thinking about development between children, don't, because developmental milestones are meant to meet a population expectation. And within each population, like within the population, there is going to be a huge variance between what each kid is capable of over time. So, for example, my daughter started walking when she was nine months old. Yeah. But she was pulling up to stand way before that. She was crawling and super mobile and able to climb things before she could technically walk. So when she started walking, it all made sense, even though she looked and behaved in a way that most people clocked as being older than she was. It wasn't a symbol of her being a magical genius, although I do believe my child is a magical genius. That's besides the point. Her developmental process is hers and hers alone. If I compare her to other people, to other children, then what I'm doing is I'm giving her the opportunity to feel like a disappointment, right? And kids can kind of pick up on that too. They can get nervous when they feel like they're doing something that's not adequate or that's right. All I'm trying to say is, shoot, you ain't do nothing wrong. And 6 months really is a big difference. And those siblings, you might as well have a home tutor with different skill sets that each kid is giving to the youngest one. Youngest children advance more quickly by and large because they have the opportunity to learn from other children, from peers who are way ahead of them developmentally. And because there's no idea inside of the child that they shouldn't be able to do those things, they see it being done and they go do it. If my daughter had an older sibling, she might have walked sooner than she did when just being raised by me, right? But there's nothing wrong with her starting at 9 months versus at 8 months or 7 months or whatever. My daughter started breastfeeding or nursing directly at 7 months old. She was bottle fed from breast milk for the entirety of her life. And we had to go month after month, night after night, little tiny micro sessions of like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Okay, we built up to an hour of her trying to nurse, but never successfully, but always trying. And I could have given up. I could have been very frustrated, but I let my expectation be my daughter hasn't learned this, but wants to learn. And the moment that she indicated to me she didn't want to learn was the moment I would have stopped, because it's not necessary to hold her to the standard of other babies. And it's not necessary for me to hold myself to the standard of other women. There were other mothers out there who were done breastfeeding their children a month before I ever started nursing mine. It's the way that it goes sometimes. And there's absolutely not only nothing wrong with what you're doing, but there's something right? Your child is learning. And from the milestones that you're sharing that you've seen your child has reached, they're accomplishing quite a bit. And 2 years old is a really good time to be aware of when you have to poop and communicate to that to a parent so that you can start to be potty trained. A lot of kids are not fully potty trained by 2 years. So that's actually also pretty advanced and great, right? So every child is going to have their strengths, their challenges, and like it can be very easy for us to just say, oh, but mine doesn't do this. But like, who does that serve? And I want to share that with you here in this little chit chat because, one, yes, 6 months is a difference, but also who cares? Because if you don't care, your kid won't care. And that's the best case scenario, because then they won't feel limited and they won't feel like they're creating, some sort of chaos in their own, family system because they don't do something that, mom expects me to be able to do this and I can't. You give yourself the freedom and you give your child the freedom to learn at a pace that works for them. And honestly, speaking when you I'm just offering this as, some anecdotal stuff. I'm not a doctor. But speaking when you're like the primary caregiver and you happen to be the nurturer, you're picking up on things that your kid could be saying to you, but isn't saying to you because they know you know what they want. So maybe they point to something, and because you know that they're pointing at that thing, it's their favorite ball, you go get it. They know you understand, so they don't feel the need to speak. But you might see that they can speak and they can say ball when they're with someone else who doesn't understand when they point. And they might need to go through a period of frustration where you take a little bit more time to learn to let them practice and be a little bit annoyed, be a little bit frustrated and upset because you can't understand them, or they feel like you can't understand them, because it will push them to say things in a new way. And when they're challenged, right, and when they're challenged in a safe environment where they know that you've got their back, they'll do it. My daughter doesn't always say a lot of words. She's a little bit younger. She's going to be 15 months. She doesn't always say a lot of words, but I'm trying to challenge myself not to automatically do whatever I think she wants, but to allow her the opportunity to be a little frustrated, because she'll learn what it is that she wants to do to address that frustration. I don't have to solve it for her. So when she wants me to pick her up, I know she wants me to pick her up, but I give her an option. I say, can you say up? And sometimes she's not going to do it. And when she doesn't, I don't automatically pick her up. Sometimes I get down on the floor with her, and this is ableist. Everyone can't necessarily do what I'm about to describe, but each of us has to find our way that we can creatively engage with our kids so that they get the appropriate challenges that they need. And honestly, I think you're doing a great job of that. You just being super hard on yourself. So with that, I want to say thank you so, so much for, sharing your story out here in the Reddit space. And I'm going to stop sharing and reconnect with the people here on YouTube for a moment. Whew. So many stories, so many things are going on out here in this world. Okay, let's see. We've got another question here. Any advice for parents navigating an internal sense of discomfort regarding learning something new or growing pains and struggle? Whoo, you mean how I feel every day? Absolutely. Let's see. How can I make it like short and sweet? Advice for parents who are navigating internal senses of discomfort regarding learning something new or growing pains and struggle. The postpartum period is all pain. And I don't mean it's all sad or it's all upsetting or it's all depressing. I mean it's all pain. There's so much about there is so much about our experiences as especially postpartum mothers who have like physically delivered a human being into the world, and as people who have brought into our world adoptive children or young people of any age, right? And our lives change tremendously in an instant. Even if we prepared, even if we fought to get to that place where the moment happens, where that child comes into our lives, the moment that that occurs, nothing is going to be the same ever again. And the sooner that we can be gentle with ourselves as we learn and kind of almost practice our gentle parenting on ourselves, the sooner and the better we will be able to deal with the learning processes that our children are experiencing, that our young people are experiencing, that our adult children are experiencing, with grace and with consideration and with a clear and deep commitment, right, to the relationship that's in front of us. Because ultimately, these growing pains and these struggles and these learning experiences that we're having, they're all symptoms of a healthy relationship. They're all symptoms, excuse me, I'm like, need to hydrate again. They're all symptoms of a healthy relationship. They're all symptoms of something working very well. They're all symptoms and signs of you doing your absolute best. So trusting that, believing in that, and creating the conditions for yourself to like lean into that. It's the best first start, the best first step, and the strongest start that we can give ourselves as we're getting into the process of raising our kids, as we're getting into the process of raising ourselves. Because ultimately we do have sometimes, not all times, many people are not injured and raising children from a place of pain or like have, any trauma or like dysfunctions in their families, and good on you. I'm still growing from my own. But for those of us who are facing those things, giving ourselves the space to transition into a healthier mindset for ourselves gives us a chance to give our own families a fighting chance at learning these new things with peace and understanding and consideration and care. So I hope that was helpful. That's my advice, is just gentle parent yourself first so that you become an excellent gentle parent to your child. It's absolutely worth it. Thank you so much for that question. That was a really good question. So we're going to wrap up soon because we've been on for an hour. And as much as I enjoy being online and being with you all here, I also need to be in person and focused on this one who's right here with me in person, my little one here. So with that, Let's think. Okay, so I'm going to be joining you all again live tomorrow at 5:30 as well, and I will be on again on Thursday 5:30. So what does that mean? If you want to come hang out with me any week, you can expect to see me here 5:30 Tuesday through Thursday. And bring your questions, bring your experiences, and bring your stories. I'd love to respond to them. You know, they don't have to be your own personal stories. If there's something that, you know, you're curious about, or something that is happening in your family system, but they don't want to ask the question themselves, feel free to bring those questions here and then maybe share the video with them. I really do want to be helpful and supportive of each and every one of you. We deserve community. We deserve to be who we are, right? To have that alignment with our deeper and innermost self. And yeah, if you are going to be with your families on Christmas, Merry Christmas. And I look forward to seeing you real soon in the next video. But for now, good night.